Mind over matter, overcompensating, overstatements, crookedness relating, the soul's churn in return, mental overstimulation, one word, riveting, it tethers my pilot. Streams that are promised to make seeking less.
Good morning.
Greetings, Master Salama.
How are you, Alex Murdoch?
Not bad at all, man. It's great to have you on.
Thank you, thank you. Where are you located?
I'm in the UK.
Oh, cool. What part?
I'm in London.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I will get to London one day, other than I was there for one day many years ago, literally one day, but I will get to London and spend some time there soon. We were supposed to go last January.
Yeah.
And my wife lost her daughter's passport, my stepdaughter's passport.
Oh dear.
As we were about to buy the ticket, she said, "Let me just make sure I have all the passports, everything's good."
Oh, wow.
She goes, "I can't find the passport." She had just gotten a new passport, and she thinks she threw it away when she threw away the old one, or something like that.
No.
But anyway, since then, our daughter's got a new passport.
It's one of those things, isn't it? It's just like
Exactly.
spanners in the works.
Exactly. So you've done a ton of podcasts, huh?
Yeah. I've been pretty active with it. Yeah. But I've enjoyed myself, man. I've really enjoyed just sharing with people and having people just kind of share with not only me but my audience. I think people really appreciate what we have to give out there and put out there. I don't think there's a lot of people have spaces like this where we can just speak about certain topics that I might cover or the way I might do it.
Right, absolutely. So it's great. I'm excited to be here with you.
It's great to have you on, man. And thank you for giving me some of your time.
Thank you. It was interesting that you didn't have a link to make an appointment, that I had to send you my link.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm actually new to that platform, so
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good platform.
Yes, definitely. In terms of like just getting in touch with people, it's a good space for sure.
Right.
Yes, so you're pretty much an architect of the Warrior's Life Code.
Right.
Author, best-selling book at the moment. Congratulations on
Once
that.
you get bestseller, it stays bestseller,
Congrats on that, man.
Thank you.
That's great. That's good luck. Could you tell us some more about your book?
Are we already recording?
Yes, we are.
Cool. I didn't realize we started already. Great. All right, cool.
Absolutely.
All good. So the book came about from the last 15 years of my life and all the ups and downs that I'd gotten through. And it kind of all culminated when COVID hit. And I recognized the things that had happened to me over the last 10, 12 years before that.
Yes.
Sort of prepared me for something like COVID. And then I started to say, you know what? I need to take the things that I've learned and that I've developed to help my clients and put together a course and a book. And I even have something called a card deck, which is kind of like little snippets of the book and the course, just something for people to carry around with. So that's where it came from. And the title of the book is Warrior to Warrior. For those that don't understand my Brooklyn accent, it's worry like you're a worried person, to warrior, you can conquer anything. W-O.
It's quite an interesting concept, yeah.
Warrior to warrior.
I like the concept behind that, to be honest.
Thank you.
I think we all, we want that transition to being that prolific.
But a lot of people don't recognize the issues that they've got going on in their lives until they're deep into it and they're like, how did I get here? You know?
Absolutely. It's a powerful, just the way, you know, the combination, the flip of a coin of the two. You know, it's like a pendulum, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah. And that's always been my case until now. I understand swinging from one end of the pendulum to the other is not really a good idea. You know,
So,
you got to kind of find the balance or the symmetry in the middle somewhere.
exactly. All right, let me share something with you, and then we'll kind of reconvene this conversation.
Sure.
Just a little quote I have for today. Growing pains was never meant to be kind, taking time to refine the last of my lifeline. Though the fibers of the past, like sand, kept falling, laying carpets like landmines, throwing me loops and spanners, now they smile as they collide, cultivating vibrations, consistently oscillating, but the mind trapping kind. Timid to the touch as I feel the histamine to rob me of my last prime. The brain faculties sabotaging type. Now I'm sitting with my head on my mind, breaking time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not from the poetry people, but that one hit me. It really did. It really got to the soul of what you told. Did you write that?
Yeah. I think I wrote that one this morning. Something to prep for our discussion, but I thought it was quite apropos to kind of share today with you know, just getting to know oneself and just going through that path that, you know, the only way is through, and it's not easy to go through. You know, it's the hardest part.
Yeah, usually, and it's you kind of touch on it in the poem. The greatest time of self-reflection is at the lower points of your life.
Yes.
You know, when things are going great, even if you think that things are not in balance, you're like, well, I'll ride the high. Why not? Yeah. Even if things aren't even if things, your mind and your heart are not in sync, you're like, well, why would I buck the trend? Why would I get off this ride? And you know, there's a small percentage that recognize it and say, you know what, there's more to here. I'm missing something. But the vast majority of us say, well, let's run it. But when we're down in that low point, our self-introspection, our self-consciousness comes into play. And the reason I use the word self-conscious is so many people think they're self-aware.
Yes.
They may be aware, but to me, there's a difference between self-conscious and self-aware. So their self-consciousness comes into play and they go, you know, what's going on? You know, why am I feeling like this? And what should I do about it? And it used to be, you know, my generation. I'm older than you think.
Don't worry about that, man.
My generation, we weren't allowed to talk about our feelings. We weren't allowed to say, I feel vulnerable.
Yes.
You know, thank God for people like Brene Brown, who's brought the word vulnerable literally out of the closet in a way, and made it that people can allow to, men specifically, but women as well, but more men can say, I need help, or I'm struggling, or, you know, I need to lean on someone.
Yes.
The old man mentality is, I'm strong, I don't cry, I don't show my feelings, I don't ask for help.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you did, you were looked at as weak.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, that's powerful. It speaks to so much, but I really like the way you broke it down.
So, you know, I could break it down a little more and talk about really, because the people that might be listening saying, so what's the difference between self-aware and self-conscious? Right. So maybe if I give them a little bit, if I read a little bit of what the difference is, it might help them understand it better?
That's a good idea. Okay, let's do that first. Let's do that first because I do
Great.
have a few questions. But let's
Absolutely.
do this
So
first.
I have a card in my card deck called self-aware versus self-conscious. So
Mm,
self-consciousness comes from a place of negative energy,
yes.
guilt, conflict, and doubt. Self-consciousness is more outward directed. It's being more concerned about what others are thinking of you and how the situation is going to affect you. You
Yes.
probably react to uncomfortable situations instead of respond. When you're self-conscious, you're questioning your decisions. You're second guessing yourself, allowing other people's opinions and judgments to sway your own judgment. Self-consciousness comes from a mindset of lack, complaining, and blaming.
Mm,
Self-awareness comes from a place of positive energy, acceptance, contentment, and self-assuredness. Self-awareness is more inward-facing. You have an accurate and realistic understanding of how you are responding to situations and how you feel about things. It enables you to approach interactions and circumstances from a more balanced, richer stance. Self-awareness comes from a mindset of abundance, taking responsibility, and gratitude.
mm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, the way I like to think about it, if you're not exploding, you're imploding, aren't you?
Exactly.
It's again we speak about pendulums, and if you're not aware of what that means per se, it could potentially be harmful in a sense. Of course, exploding is, I would say, is more healthy for the person. But again, it's like how are we going about
How
doing
you explode about it, doing.
it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, how are we going
Exactly.
about doing this? Because at the
Right.
end of the day, you got to be constructive about things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be in a situation where you're causing harm for other people, even though you're making it better for your soul.
Right. Exactly. And that was a big part of who I was, over 15 years ago when I started to go through this personal transformation.
Yeah.
I was a person that was a people pleaser. Okay.
Mm,
I needed to please everybody. And what I came to learn through self introspections, awareness, and going through life coach training, and it's starting out with me understanding who I was
yes.
and who I wanted to become, was that I was that because I was a people pleaser,
Mm,
I was a control freak. I took everything personally. I needed to get the recognition from people. Oh, you're doing a great job. People pleaser, they need to know.
yes.
And when all those things weren't happening, I would react so bad. I would overreact. I'd lose my temper to the point that I was like a nuclear reactor, explode and leave fallout all over the place and then have to go back later and fix it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So into your point about explosion, that's who I was. And that was somebody who reacted, who was self-conscious, who felt the guilt, who felt all those negative things I talked about.
Yes.
Instead, now I've become somebody who I control my emotions instead of my emotions controlling me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? And I respond. Does it happen 100% of the time? No, it doesn't happen 100% of the time for anybody.
No.
But if you could go from where it was 1% to 90%,
90%. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it doesn't happen overnight. You don't go from 1 to 90. That's the pendulum. That's the swing of the pendulum. You got to go from 1 to 5 to 10, 7 to 12, like that.
It's a process.
And aware as to what's going on. You've got to build the muscle memory in your brain. Your brain's a muscle too.
That's right. That's right.
Probably your most important muscle other than your heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't downplay the brain in any way, shape, or fashion.
Right.
I would say, there's also, obviously, we're talking, these are very fine lines we're speaking in. But, when we're speaking about explosiveness, you also have to be aware, like you're saying, being a person that you are, there is a process to implosive too.
Yes.
And it stands to reason that before you get to that point of exploding, you probably went through a series of situations where you were actually imploding. Or
absolutely.
It was on the build.
Yeah. It's slow burn.
Slow burn.
You
Slow
know,
burn.
there were times where, back in my old time, I was like, I'm going to hold this in. I'm going to hold this in. I'm not
Yes.
going to be that guy that's going to freak out. I'm going to hold it in. I'm going to hold it in, which is, again, the pendulum. It's the extreme.
Yes.
Because all you're doing is you're letting it fester, and you're feeling regret, and you're feeling that you're towards the other person, you're feeling like resentment to them.
Yes.
And they don't even know what's going on. If you're holding it in, you're not communicating, and if you're not communicating, they don't know that there's something wrong.
That's right. That's right.
So you're imploding, and the only one that's really getting hurt in the short run is you. In the long run, it could be the people around you as well.
Yeah. Because you're just breathing isolation at the end of the day. And not necessarily that people that might be deserving, or most likely not. It's just, you just have to explode, because at this point you've held it in for so long. You don't have control in terms of when you actually let it go or release.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. There's so many layers to that.
So many. That's why I told you, when I went through this process, I started to learn, oh my God, I've been a people pleaser my whole life. That was the first revelation for me. Yeah. I thought I was doing a great thing. I wanted to be everybody's friend. Be friends with everybody, make everybody happy.
Yes.
You can't make everybody happy. So that was the beginning of it. Once I did that, the next layer came, oh my God, I take everything personally. And a lot of that came from a book I read, right?
Yes.
By Don Miguel Ruiz, called The 4 Agreements. You know this book?
I'm not aware of it, no.
This is a fantastic book. So he has 4 agreements.
Yes.
And that's what the whole book is about. But right in the beginning, he tells you what they are.
Yeah.
Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. So when I read that, especially don't take anything personally, I was like, wait a minute, that's me.
Yes.
I take everything personally because I put the world on my shoulders. So if something happens, it's on me to fix it. It's not. That's the control freak. That's where that came in. Oh, wait a minute. I take things personally because I'm a control freak. And because I'm a control freak and a people pleaser, I want the attention. I want the recognition. I want people to say, wow, Martin, you're the best thing in the world. So those are the layers that came out for me. And I wish it happened overnight, but it didn't. But to tell you the truth, it was good that it didn't, because I needed to embrace each one of them, understand the negative effects it was having on me.
Yes.
And learn how to take it. Now, does that mean I was the worst person in the world? No, I had some great qualities. But, I had to figure out what the ones that were holding me back, and why were they holding me back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. To that leads me to my first question to you. What's your philosophy on leadership?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And you're going to be surprised by my answer.
Okay.
I believe every person is a leader. Every person's a leader. They're like, what do you mean? At the very minimum, you're a leader of yourself.
Yes.
Right? So once you start to embrace that, that means that the decisions I make are mine to make. And if I'm making the decision, then I'm the leader of me.
Yes.
And by the way, side note, the decisions you don't make are also the decisions you're making.
They're also decisions, yes.
Right? To say I'm not going to do anything, that's a decision.
That's a decision to do something.
Exactly. So that's how I believe. That's my philosophy on leadership. And then it grows from there, because once you understand that, then you say, I'm a leader of somebody. I have an influence on somebody. What is that influence? And what can I do to make that experience with that person better? Yes. Let's say you're a business owner, or you're a manager in a company, right? Yeah. How are you dealing with your people around you? Are they working for you, or are they working with you?
Working with you. Yeah.
Right? Are they part of the team? Are you part of the team, or are you part of the problem?
Oof, that's a powerful one.
right? Are you barking out orders saying, go do this, go do that, da, 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 and come back and tell me what? Now they're all going off, resenting you, saying, I got this animal that I'm working for. All right.
That's a good way to put it.
So are you a boss or are you a leader? Are you inclusive or are you somebody who just says, go do, and come back and report to me? So there has to be that understanding of how do you show up?
That's the thing. I think, you know, when it comes to leadership, I think awareness is next to that, where you have to understand the nuances and of just being around people in general, I would imagine as well. Just understanding the nuances that comes with leading somebody, and also leading yourself, because that dynamic, there's so many complexities to it. And you know, when you miss that boat, you do pay for it normally when it comes to leadership and people, and they make you know about it.
That's right. That's right. And you may not be willing to see it. That's the problem. You think you know everything. You think you understand it. And you think by you telling it to somebody else, that's it. That's not communicating.
That's right. That's right. There you go again, communication.
Communication.
I think it's one of those things that's so underestimated and maybe not respected enough.
Yeah, agreed.
Communication.
Agreed, 100%. People think they're communicating when they're probably lecturing, right? I'll tell you what I think, all right? And when I'm done, you'll agree with me.
That's right.
And that's the end of it. No, that's not communicating. That's lecturing, which I was great. I was a great lecturer.
That's true. That's crazy. So somebody as yourself that you do a sense of coaching with people, what's the foundation of such that what you try to instill in the people,
right,
that you try to
well, so in my course, my book, my cards, you have to start at the beginning. I know that sounds simple and simplistic, but it's number one is, you know, you're seeking me out for a reason, right? And that reason is that something's not going right.
Yes.
Right. So I started off talking about 3 steps you have to take along the way of your journey. And the first one is probably the most important one. It's admission. Admit the way you're living now isn't working, and that something's got to change. You know, I'm going to paraphrase Albert Einstein, who said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a change.
Expecting different result, yeah.
Different results. Like I said, it's a paraphrase. It's not exactly the wording.
No. I would just
yeah. So once you admit to yourself, at the very least, that something's got to change, then you could go out and find someone to help you. Now, you could go talk to family members and try to communicate, and that could work. It could work. And it does work for many people, as long as both sides are receptive. But for me, I found that when you have a coach in your life, when you have somebody who's there for you, who's objective, who is not judgmental, who's supportive, and you make those admissions to them, number one, you admit it to yourself. Now you've said it out loud to someone. You're being put into a position of having someone who cares about you in an objective way, as I said, supportive and non-judgmental, who will then hold you accountable to what you're saying and saying, okay, what do you want to do about it? Which leads to the next step, which is cleansing, doing the work to change. And then the third step is celebration, right? For example, you wake up today and say, I need to lose 50 pounds by next week. Is that realistic?
No, it's not.
Don't you wish? You know, but no. So you have somebody in your life who says, okay, let's come up with a plan. Right? So you come up with a plan. Now you start eating better, you start exercising, whatever it is. And you go, we know it's not going to be a week. Let's figure out how long it's going to take. You may not know right away because you have to figure out how what you do is affecting you and understand that there's peaks and valleys. But when you get to 3 pounds, celebrate.
Celebrate. Yeah.
Right? Celebrate along the way. If you don't celebrate the small victories, you probably won't get to the big victory. You know, Michael Jordan said, I'm not a big shot. I took a lot of little shots, become a big shot.
Made a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
Before I was successful.
Yep. You know, the best baseball player in the world has a 300 batting average. That means he's hitting the ball and getting a hit 30% of the time. That means 70% of the time he's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the football players, soccer players out there, don't you wish every time they kick the ball at the goal, they got it in?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Even speaking of to go to athletics, you know, the people that usually win the race, they usually wait until the biggest stage to run their fastest times.
Yep.
They usually just, you know, average or dormant throughout the year.
Yep.
So, you know, you go to Olympics final, out of nowhere. I thought you never had it anymore. You just ran a 9.58, you know, like something like that. You know?
Exactly.
So, you know, realism is a factor for sure.
100%.
You know?
And look, the greatest athletes in the world have coaches. Because
Absolutely.
their mindset's got to be in the right place. Other than their ability, that only takes them so far. You know, golfers out there, they could be the best golfer in the world. If their head is not in the game the right way, they're not going to do well.
Yeah. You know, that's a good point. Maybe you could expand a little bit more on nature versus nurture, especially within this context that we're speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So talent can only take you so far. Okay. The abilities that you have can only take you so far. All right. It's what you do with them that makes the difference. And the people that you surround yourself with will help you get there or hold you back.
Oh, yeah. That one, right? That part.
So many people want to see you fail. Why? Because that's the negative mindset that they have. So if they're down in the dumps, they want you to join them down there in their little pity party.
Absolutely.
So you got to surround yourself with people who are uplifting, supportive. They're going to be there for you through the thick and thin. And you can call them up in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, man, I'm here for you. What do you need?
That's powerful. What are the commonalities that you notice in people in terms of what you may think is that inhibits their growth, getting to where they're trying to be in life?
Yeah. I would say a big one is their lack of self-worth.
Oof.
You know?
Yeah.
Which then feeds on everything else, their self-confidence, their ability, and everything else. It's the mind game. It's the mindset of saying, I can do anything. Right? It's up to you. It's up to, if you know, there's a saying, it's 2-letter words phrase.
Yes.
If it is to be, it is up to me. Every word in that is 2 letters.
Yes.
If it is to be, it is up to me. Nobody cares about you more than you. Right? You could have the most supportive team around you, the most supportive partner, parents, children, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you are not on board with it, it doesn't matter what they can do for you. You've got to do it for yourself.
That's real. That's real. That's powerful. And yeah, that resonates a lot because just speaking on just like my own anecdotal experience and just what I see just going around, it seems to me like, and it to even to the point where the people that experience hardship the most are the people that don't necessarily have self-confidence, self-love, believe in themselves, have any sort of, respect or even stand on something, have a code.
Right.
But to have a code, you have to have some type of cultivation of foundation when it comes to yourself and what's important for you.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know,
100%. 100%. And I just want to go back to something I just said. You got to do it for yourself, but you don't have to do it by yourself. Right?
Yeah.
That's an important point. You can go alone, but you can't grow alone. You need support around you. You can't do it alone. And that's where the difference is. So you have the people around you. How are you utilizing them? How are you allowing them to utilize you? It's a two-way street.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And it goes back to, like you're saying, having a coach or somebody to kind of lend you a template, or somebody that's seen it all before can be like, okay, this is where you're at. This is how you get to the next stage. You're at the next stage. Now it's time to, let's figure this out.
Right.
New level, new devil, as they say. Let's regroup.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. I have to tell you, one of my mentors say, just when you think everything's going right, get ready to try to distract you, to knock you down. And you're like, I don't understand. Everything's going right. What's going on? It's the devil trying to come up. I mean the devil in a very figurative way.
Yeah.
And they're trying to test you. See, are you going to hold your resolve?
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to even go broad stroking, when we think about inertia, resistance, just that universal hardship to attain what you're actually looking for. Because as we know, anything worth having is sacrifice comes with it.
It's worth doing. Yep.
Sacrifice comes with it.
That's right.
So nothing in this world comes easy when it's worth having.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're doing these things, are you giving cost or are you giving value?
Oof. Yeah. Are you reliable or you're a liability?
Exactly. Are you investing or is it a cost to you or is it an investment? If you look at it as a cost, that will look at as an expense and as something that you have to do. If you look at it as an investment, that's something you want to do and that you want to get the most out of.
Yeah. And that indicates commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
A journey.
Exactly.
It's a path. So again, we're speaking about the mindset, like, and just man, so many gems.
Thank you.
Being an expert in your field, could you shed some light on the difference between working and loving what you do?
Sure.
A sort of job versus career sort of.
Yeah. And that goes back to what we were just talking about. You wake up in the morning. How are you approaching the day? Are you grateful for the day, or are you looking to complain about it? Are you appreciating it, or are you complaining about it? Right? So you wake up in the morning. For me, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for every day. And then I go, I get to go to work. I get to do something I like to do. Instead of saying, oh my God, I have to go to work. Now, if you're in a position of a job that you don't love, you can change that. But you can't just wake up tomorrow and say, okay, great, I'm going to get a new job. You got to